Is the best two-way player in the NBA. He does not count Wemby because he's an alien, and I think Jalen Brown is probably correct in that assessment. Paul George, and you can see the first-round picks, 2 in the first round, 2 second-round picks on the move going to the Boston Celtics. All right, take me through this. We had speculated for an extended period of time here heading into free agency that this was going to happen. We just didn't know which team he was going to go to, but there's excitement. Tyrese Maxey, we were having this conversation in our green room, like, whose team is this? And I was like, well, damn, it's that dude's. It's Maxey's team. We saw the transition. There was some pushback inside the green room. We're like, no, this becomes Jalen Brown's team. I don't know how it's going to play out, but the reaction that you had to this deal, Darren, is what?
Wow. Yeah. Like, I have no explanation other than the fact of I know Tyrese Maxey is extremely happy. Right, Tyrese Maxey has been carrying this team for a very long time.
Yeah.
Embiid's been in and out with injuries. VJ Edgecombe has a terrific first season, right? And now you add in Jalen Brown into the mix. I mean, wow, this team is going to be very scary in the East. And it's not so much of their offense production. They have a lot of players that love to play defense.
Yeah.
They enjoy playing defense. And it takes a lot of pressure off Embiid, too, because Embiid doesn't have to do a lot offensively. Jalen Brown is a guy that led his team as the lone guy when he was a lone star when Jason Tatum was out. So now you're asking him and Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, who had an unbelievable playoff run, too, as well. And then you're mixing that with Embiid? Whoo!
Yeah, I mean,
unbelievable.
How about this? The fact is, Jalen Brown's 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The Philadelphia 76ers just got a guy who's played his best season of his career, who was an MVP type candidate. He is 29, he's under contract, and they flipped out an older contract, a guy who has been oft injured, who's still a good player when he's healthy, but not, he's not the levels he was before. He has an extra year after that on his contract. People were saying that might have to attach assets to just get off that contract. And somehow Philly just got younger and better, and they did it all with, minimal draft assets. The 2031 unprotected first, that's a really nice asset to give up.
Mm-hmm.
But just in general, I'm flabbergasted. I have texted and I've talked to some team executives just, after the trade happened and just like, what's your take? And everyone is shocked. I think the best way to say is shocked because not only that, Darren, like think about this. In the same division to the team that just
I was
crazy.
Just about to say that.
the team that knocked you out,
to say that.
And you just made them better.
To me, that was the most confusing thing. And maybe Boston Celtics have another trade up their sleeves, but to trade him to a team like you mentioned that beat them in last year's postseason run, and then you traded him to a team that you're going to see probably 3 or 4 times throughout the year, and including in the playoffs, is like, wow. Normally when you make these type of trades, you want to trade them across from to the other part of the country, right? But Boston Celtics has done a great job of taking care of the organization. They may have another move up their sleeves. You can never doubt Brad Stevens and Boston Celtics. They always do something that we probably don't see see coming, but they may make another move after this.
You talked about the rivalry, the proximity, the familiarity between these two franchises. What does that signal to you about the relationship between Jalen Brown, the front office, maybe some of those guys inside that locker room? Because there was conversations over the last couple days, take it for what it's worth in the media, where like, oh, we can patch this up. We can figure this out. And in my mind as a fan, I'm thinking, I don't think you're figuring that one out. You can go and try to, but I think case in point, they weren't able to. But did this marriage, was there just not better suitors? Does it not make sense for compensation there? Was it his salary that's still remaining on the books?
It's a great question. And one thing I have learned, especially with my time in the front office with the Atlanta Hawks, is you probably will never know publicly exactly the reasons for something, especially when something is enough that you're like, I do not understand this. I cannot wrap my head around it. There's usually something else happening that you probably just won't know about. But from a pure basketball sense, obviously reconciliation wasn't something that seemed to be possible because you just don't pull off a trade like that unless you feel like there's no going back at that point. And for me, I look at it and I say, this is a team in Boston that always, as long as Jalen and Jason Tatum were there with their pieces, they are a contender, like to win a title. They already won a title, right? And every year they're around that. And this is something that clearly they felt they had to do. And I'm not going to say that they don't value Paul George. Maybe they really do value Paul George. You know, he's a really good player. He's just older and he's injured often. So again, I maybe, as you said, Darren, maybe there's another move coming. Maybe Boston feels like they can kind of feel it out. Well, put it this way, they didn't think they were going to be great this year, and they kind of stayed afloat with Jalen Brown. Maybe they can stay afloat again until the trade deadline to figure out what they need, and maybe someone else becomes available. But until that happens, everyone will look at this trade and just say, hey, this is a situation where Boston felt like they needed to get off Jalen Brown. And all the signals I was hearing before that from every source I was talking to before, they did not feel like that was going to be the situation. They felt like Boston would only make a move if they found exactly what they wanted, if they got the player back they wanted or multiple firsts, etc. So either they feel really highly about Paul George or they probably settled for a little less than they expected.
Yeah, for me as a fan, I love Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum together. You know, I think it's very hard to find two-way players that can score 30 points a night and play defense the way they do. I mean, I thought they were just figuring it out, but to your point, having Jalen Brown and all these different trade rumors, you didn't pull off the trade. You know, when you're trying to trade for Giannis, you just knew it was going to be hard to repair after that. And so here we are, Jalen Brown's in Philly, and then you're asking yourself, if you're Jason Tatum, you're like, okay, like I love Paul George, but what does it mean for me moving forward as far as in the future, right? Like where does he stand? How does this impact him? You know what I mean? I feel like Jason Tatum is a guy that you pair him up with another good player, they can go far. But I'm with you. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Paul George's contribution. This is a guy that played well last year in the playoffs, who did a great job on Jalen Brown himself, right? And so, you know, if they can make another move because they have a boatload of first-round picks and pair that up with the team they have right now, I think Boston Celtics could be in good shape, but that's a wait-and-see approach.
I think that the issue is you see once again the trade details. The whole point of free agency, when you are a good basketball team, is to try to go and get better. And I think if you're in the city of Boston right now and you're the fan of the Celtics and you've seen a season where you're a 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, you didn't have Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown's coming off his best season as a pro, I don't know if you look at this trade compensation and go, we're a better basketball team.
No.
And that's got to be the problem.
Definitely not a better basketball team. And let's also go back a week and a half ago, they were trying to get Giannis. So think about the difference of what just happened. Instead of sending Jalen Brown with a couple firsts for Giannis, and a lot of people were like, oh, I don't know how serious Boston is. Yeah. Well, apparently they were very serious.
Yeah.
And they went from maybe packaging with Jalen with a couple guys to get Giannis.
Totally.
And now they're bringing in Paul George in a first and a half. You know, sorry, I don't want it. The 28 first is still a first. But the point is that it's just, it's shocking to see a team when they are able to compete every year and youth is on their side and they have everyone under contract and they even made the book